Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another session of Speak Your Mind. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, this is the right show, the only show that allows you to express yourself without folks hanging up or being rude or disrespectful to you. So we want to open up to you tonight. Before we move forward, we want to put our house in order. First of all, I want to say go ahead and call who you need to call and let them know that the Speak Your Mind show is on tonight. Hopefully tonight we're going to have an open discussion on a variety of topics. Our phone line is going to be open to allow you to pretty much tell us what's on your mind, what's happening in the community, what's bothering you, things that you need to get out off your chest, you want the community to be aware of. Of course, there's been a number of texts before I even got in here. So I think pretty much the show is going to be entertaining and interesting tonight. So again, I want to welcome you back and tell you to just go ahead and call who you need to call and let them know that the Speak Your Mind show is on. Before we move forward, I want to say I want to send out our condolences to the Premier and his family. The Premier, Dr. Orlando Smith, lost his mom this week. I think her name was Miss Eldra Davies Smith. So again, we want to send out our condolences to the Premier and his family for the loss of his mom. His mom was 94 years old, and I got to tell you, when I think about that, I mean, she had a wealth of information and probably, you know, witnessed and experienced a lot of changes in the BVI. So I'm only hoping Premier that or somebody in the family had an opportunity to document some of that information and use that as part of our history book. That's going to be another topic later on, because I know the ministers are including some new stuff this year, this school year. History is one of that, history of the BVI. So I'm hope that they were able to get some of that wealth of information from the Premier's mom before she passed. So Honorable Premier, our condolences to you and your family. Also, we want to send out condolences to Chuck Brewley. He was a well-known guy in the community. Everybody knew Chuck. So to the Brewley family, we want to say also, we're sending out our condolences to you. And also someone that worked with me on the BVI taxi stand, Mr. Woodley, Elmo Woodley. He also worked for the Port Authority. Woodley was a very quiet, simple guy. Didn't raise his voice much. Cool guy, cool guy. I tried many times to get him in arguments, and he just wouldn't engage in argument. He had a very smooth way of dealing with arguments. So Woodley, if I didn't get a chance to tell you, but you're definitely going to be missed. I thought you was a cool guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had a number of people that passed away this week. So, you know, let's take a moment out and just, you know, share some love, some respect, remembrance of those people that, you know, that passed on. So, we all hope and wish the family well. So, moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I have a number of things that I'm probably just going to put out there to you guys, and then we can run from those. But of course, the phone lines are open. Tonight, I just want to engage the community in whatever is bugging the community. So our phone lines are open immediately. I'm not holding back tonight. We don't have any guests in-house tonight. We could have had some, but I prefer tonight we decided that we wanted to just leave it open for you guys, because I know there's a lot of stuff in the news. There's a lot of things, a lot of changes that are on the horizon right now, and people are, you know, pretty much not all happy. The phone lines are open, the text lines are open. If you prefer to text, I understand the reason behind text now more than any other time. If you feel comfortable texting, go ahead and send your text. Just be one that, you know, when the phone calls start coming in, it's very hard sometimes to get to the text. And I know there's some really good texts, and you guys really want to have your voice be heard through text. But if you can call, you know, so I always say you can always, like, put your your hand over your nose or talk to a pillow, and that way you can disguise your voice. But it's always nice when people can hear your voice and hear you know what's happening from your voice. So without any further ado, a couple things that I had that I was going to put out there, and again we had about 5 texts since I came in. Apparently there's some issue going on in Virgin Gorda. So Virgin Gorda, we expect to hear from you tonight up in North Sound. I know North Sound are having experiencing some problem. I believe folks that live close to the boatyard. If you live close to the boatyard, you know, apparently there's some issues going on up there. Could be a major health problem with older people, younger kids. You know, whenever the gentleman that owns the boatyard, he's spraying his boats and stuff, the kind of paint that he's using could be hazardous to the health of the community. But at the same time, we have to recognize that he does have a business. It's a good business. So I think that the people up there, along with the owner of the business, should probably try to get together and come to some solution on that, resolution on that. But it also means that if the community is being affected, then, you know, whoever's responsible for that in government, regulating, ensuring that folks have proper ventilation, they're you know, operating their business in the right environment, should step in immediately. Because, I mean, if you're having people that are getting sick, you have older people in the community, that's a huge problem, and that's not something to sit around and play on. So I'm going to leave it up to the Virgin Gorda folks who are being affected. If you feel it's in your right to call and tell us what's happening, of course, I'm going to have some questions, no debates, just questions for you. But I'm hoping that at least the government side of it is involved. That should be a health problem, and they would have the right people dealing with that. So over in Virgin Gorda, North Sound, apparently they're having some issues over there with the boatyard and the spray paint and the type of paint that's being used to spray boat. Apparently the vapor and everything is rising up in the mountains, and the people say they're being affected by it, and they've been trying to get some resolution on that, and they haven't been able to get any resolution. So government officials, those of you that are watching, documenting the show, taking note, something needs to be done. The two parties, or the community and the party that's involved, needs to get together, and people need to try to work out some solution to that. We can't kill the business, but the business can't kill the people as well. So you got to work on that. Next big thing was in the news this week, minimum wage. Of course, the government themselves mentioned something about minimum wage, and reviewing the minimum wage and talking about how can we increase pay for folks. I personally believe that it's going to be a real challenge for government to even raise minimum wage, only because of the type of jurisdiction that we are with financial services and inflation, and, you know, cost of living is already high in the country. And I know most people would say, you know, the fact that things are so high, food cost is so high, gasoline is so high, imports are so high, there should be some relief, and people are looking at minimum wage. The rate should be increased. I think if people are making $4 an hour, it should increase. I mean, in this day and age, to me, that's legalized, organized slavery, and it shouldn't be that way. So there's a lot to consider there. It ain't as simple as we want it, or some people might think it should be. When it relates to minimum wage, it's a very difficult situation the government is in. Again, just do a little homework on the offshore jurisdiction. The fact that we are offshore jurisdiction, operating and doing business at a very low cost to those who are coming in, is why some of the main reason why some of those businesses are here. So the government will definitely have to take some time to look at that. So next big thing, the government, the speech from the throne that was given by the governor himself, just to talk a little bit about what he said there. The speech from the throne, the governor spoke something about looking at ways where they can reduce the taxes on food stuff that are coming in everyday product. And this goes to a caller that I had last week or the week before. that spoke about going over to St. Thomas, you know, spending some money on much needed goods and then coming back and paying almost the same amount of money in taxes that she paid for the goods. So this might be a big help. Let's just hope that they can get that off the ground. I think that'll kind of balance out the scale right there, because we know earlier in the year, the good premier talked about, you know, the new Custom Duties Act. They are looking to reduce some taxes on the suppliers, the stores, the owners of the stores, and so forth. So now this might be a relief for the average consumer. Of course, I always believe that you should try to spend as much money as you can locally to help the economy, because if you don't circulate money in the economy, no matter what you do in St. Thomas, it ain't going to help. It's going to help you personally, but in the end, we all will suffer, because if the government don't have any money to spend, the stores don't make any money to circulate that money, they can't buy any new goods. It's going to be really, really difficult. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just putting these out there to see what your feedback are on them. If you had a chance to listen to the governor, of course, the governor to set the tone every time they open up the House. The Legislative Council, the debates, we had one just this week. The governor set the tone, talked about, you know, his government, the government's agenda. And it's a big agenda. They look at different things that definitely need to come forward to help the community. So if you had a chance to listen to the governor, even anything in the House, we're going to talk about one or two things that happened in the House this week as well. And I want to get your take on that to see how you feel about that. So again, the phone lines are open. I see the text coming in. Of course, like I said, until we go, you know, get a chance to go to break, it's hard to go back and forth. But once I finish reading through my agenda for tonight, or some of the things that I hope that we could discuss, I'll try to hit those texts. Of course, it's just me and you tonight. I think my colleague Courtney had a little situation. I'm just hoping that he's all right. So Courtney, if you're watching, I'm hoping that everything works out. So ladies and gentlemen, it's just me and you tonight. So I want to hear from you. We're going to talk about some stuff tonight. Some of the things that I'm putting out there, of course, I'm going to come back and probably elaborate a little bit on some of those. Another big thing. This one here. Oh, this one is related to the Minister of Education. One of the focus, one of the things that the minister talked about, and he elaborated a little bit on, was the idea of more responsibility in the media covering of news and also of the bloggers. And I'm going to put this out there to a lot of you folks who like to go on the internet and blog after every news source. You know, you have your own spin on the news. And so the question is, first of all, how do you feel about what the minister said? Obviously, the minister said there's no form of, he wasn't thinking about any type of censorship. He just believed that media should be responsible and they should report accurate information. And I agree with that. I mean, if you're a media source and you're recording some information from any type of source, it should be as the source say. What I would like to debate is whether or not, you know, and how we can resolve bloggers who sometimes hide behind fake names and numbers to degrade people. I don't think that's right, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if you're a responsible person, you want to really contribute to what's happening in a community, there's a news piece on a news site, and you want to talk about it, you know, respond to the issue. You know, sometimes, I mean, you go on there and you read some of these blogs, and the story might be about grass in the water, and you're talking about all kind of other stuff that has nothing to do with grass in the water. So I think that's really what the minister was trying to highlight. But I want to know what you think. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking about, you know, even this show. You know, a good example, we had a lot of you, you know, call. Sometimes you text because you don't want people to know what you're saying. That's one thing. And many of you say some things that we don't read those texts because you're personally attacking the folks who are here. You say things like we have personal agenda, or you know, you might talk about somebody else in the community, and we're not going to say those things on the air, because why say those things if we're talking again about something that's important to the community? community, let's dialogue on that. Let's focus on that. The other stuff don't make any sense. And then even, you know, if you know, you call the show and we allow you to just, you know, taint somebody's name, you know, you make accusations about someone in a community or a business or a minister or a government department, and we don't curve that. We don't try to bring factual information out so the rest of the folks who are watching can really understand what it is you're trying to say, then we could be liable to allow that. And we don't put us in that situation, you know. Don't call the show and if I'm, you know, holding a position on something and then just be rude and say shut up, or, you know, carry on in that manner without presenting any type of information, anything that people can sit down and say, you know, I hear what that person said, I heard what Sam said, I heard what Courtney said, and the debate was good, the dialogue was good. That's what people really want. They want real information. So if you're going to call the show and be rude and disrespectful to others, we're not going to allow it. Obviously, you know, we're probably going to be liable if we allow it. So what we want is important information to be shared. We want good conversation. We want, you know, that sort of stuff. We don't want people calling the show. So I want to know how you feel anyway about the whole situation. Bloggers who go online and blog behind these fake names, and they say things about people that may not be true. I mean, would you, if you were in that position, would you want somebody blogging about you about things that are not true? That's really the position. And do you go online and blog about other people, about situations that are not true? And why do you do it? Is it fair to that person? I have a solution for the bloggers and the news sites and the people who own the post sites. I believe if I was running a news site, anybody that wanted to blog on my site, you know, you would have to give your true name, and your IP address would be labeled would be right next to the comment. So if you're brave enough to go say something that's bad about somebody that's not true, those person will have a recourse in the court of law, because we do have situations now where people have been sued for defamation of character and so forth. So, you know, if you know that you're hiding behind a fake name to spread gossip and rumor on other people that is not true, then this would be a chance for you to represent if you're really man enough. And if you're man enough or woman enough and you go up on some of these blog sites, your ID should be disclosed, you know. And that's just my solution. I mean, otherwise, you know, you know, if your ID is known, chances are you won't go online and blog fake things or false things about other people. So let me know how you feel about that. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open. We're not holding anything back. I outlined 4 things already, things that are happening in Virgin Gorda, around the boatyard and the community surrounding the boatyard in Virgin Gorda. People feel as if the chemical, the paint that they're using, is not in an area where it could be contained in that area, and the folks in that neighborhood is being affected. We talk about minimum wage. A lot of folks who are from other places who move to the BVI to work in the BVI, obviously some of them are not making a lot of money, and even some of us who are from here is not making a lot of money. It's difficult to make a living in the BVI, even for those who are BVI lenders. So don't feel because you're from here, everybody from here is doing extremely well. That's not the case. All of us have to work for a living. The governor's speech from the throne, it's a government speech, it's a government's agenda. Of course, it's always delivered by the governor. He's the head of the government. He represents the Queen. So it's not the governor's speech, but a government speech from the throne. Clearing up their misconception from the Minister of Education. Again, we were talking about media, the responsibility of the media. We talk about the bloggers. Should the media allow bloggers to go on and defame other folks, representatives, or, you know, anyone else in the community? Is it fair? That's what we're talking about. A big thing right now in the news, of course, is the increase in the visa process right now. Apparently, we got a phone call. Let's get to the phone real quick. You want to speak your mind? Go ahead, please. Hello.
Hello, good night.
Hi, good night. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
All right.
The reason for calling, I just calling to get some information on the British visa, the visa that goes on Ireland Pizza Hut. I just want to know the reason for raising from 125 to 125. It is, if my math correctly, is 100%, 600% raise. So that's the reason I'm calling.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot for the call. So that gentleman was calling about the increase in the visa for some Caribbean nationals, of course, who are required to have a visa, and anybody for that matter who's trying to come into the BVI. Many folks were surprised when they went into the office just the other day to find out that the increase went from $25 to $175. What's the reason for the increase? I don't know. I have no idea. But you know, all I could say, the government is looking at trying to reduce costs some places, and they have to try to raise revenue some places. That's my belief. You know, the country can't run without money. I know it's hard on folks who have to work so hard for minimum wage, for, you know, still have to take care of their families back home. But also the visa is only one time a year. It's not, you know, every 6 months or every 3 months. It's a one-time thing. What's the reason? I really don't know. But it'd be interested for us, for anybody in government, to be able to tell us. That's something that I know JTV is working on, a new source. So hopefully we'll have some kind of answer for you next week on that. Also now, you know, as you know, it's a new school year. So the kids are going back to school. Friday, I think yesterday, they had a big day at the multipurpose complex. Several folks spoke there. We had the security officer, Lesmo had a big speech there. We had the principal, the man in charge, Mr. Tobin. We got a call. Let's get to the phone real quick. You want to speak your mind? Go ahead, please.
Good night, sir.
Good night. How are you?
How are you? Listen, Sam, in relation to that visa hike that you just spoke about, one of the things that we got to realize is that while the government might be trying to make some additional money, the masses of the people who is going to be affected, and when I say the masses of the people who is going to be affected, I'm talking who will have difficulty in finding monies to meet these necessary things. The thing about additional taxes is that it's who can really pay, who can afford it. You mentioned about it being for just once a year. Irrespective if a man got to pay $20 a year, he's all about finding that $20. No, quite a number of persons will probably be able to find that money, but a high percentage of persons may not be able to find that money. And this is one of the problems in this country. Maybe we need to consider what the Democrats actually is relating to, whereby you tax the rich. When it comes to certain things, you charge the rich more because they can't pay. There are guys in this country who come here maybe in a 3-year contract or whatever and make something like $20,000, $15,000 a month. Now, how could stuff like this be applied to a guy who really make what, $10,000 a year? You see what I'm saying? So when you apply a number of things across the board to affect everybody, in fact, it's not affecting everybody. Because the board will make big bucks. He could pay with ease. That's a peanut for him. But what about the small man who could and even get food by, and then here's that additional cost for him to pay? I don't know if you see where I'm coming from.
So you're saying like some of the lawyers who are charging $500–600 an hour, bringing in these lawyers from across the country, from across the world, those people in that category should be paying a higher increase.
But obviously, what Obama about? Obama said, you rich boys, you can't compare yourself with middle class people, man. Come on, you make big bucks, you should pay more. Okay, you just don't make all these big bucks and live like kings and queens and then poor people here suffering. So there is some consideration should be looked into as to when you're going to do these things. Consider, hey, You want to make some money, I appreciate that. A country must make money for its survival, but at the same time, be careful how you do it. Because the brothers and sisters, are the average brothers and sisters who you are putting this pressure on, whether they are under pressure already. So I just wanted to make the point because, you know, coming from a poor background, continue being poor, I understand what it means. We have a situation here with a certain class of people because they have the economic power. They can do. I don't know if you know there's a new bakery open in the BVI right now, and I'm trying now. There's a new building just across from the Marines. And there's a new
across from Sunsail.
Yeah, okay, from Sunsail. And it's on prime land. Tell me how much average person you know could have possibly get that property to open a bakery. You know, there are persons in certain category of persons in this country who have that economic power, who have that means to that financial help, and not being able to get it. While some others get it very easy. You understand?
Yeah.
And here's where I come to another point where I don't think our national bank is doing what it should do or what it's designed to do. Because in many cases, I think that our local bank should have been in the forefront of a number of things. Take, for example, mortgages. Instead of that, the commercial bank is basically dominating these areas. I wonder many times, what is the purpose of a local bank? A local bank should be dominating a number of things which relates to local people and helping local people. And those local people, for some reason, are forced to go to these commercial banks for help. And then they get loans with high interest rate. Because our local bank is not doing what it should do by dropping its interest rate very low and making it possible for local people. I just want to say that. I'll probably call you that. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Carla. Well, there you go. That's a very strong point for, you know, not putting a whole lot of pressure on people who already have a whole lot of pressure. And I agree with that, Carla. There's a number of people in the territory that that having a very hard time. But it also there's another side to that as well. You know, some of the same people who may deem to be having a hard time, sometimes, you know, they're working and they're still able to send money home. They're still able to take care of their families back home. They spend money in the economy. I don't know. I would only assume that the folks who decide to raise and have the increase are looking at some of these activities and saying, well, if they can afford to do some of these other things, and then government, on the other hand, is trying to reduce costs and put more money in people's pocket by reducing taxes and so forth for goods coming into the country. The government has to create some kind of balance, and I think they're trying to do that, but it's a very challenging thing. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break in a few minutes, and then we'll be right back.